Over the years, I've worked with so many people who've been dealing with depression or anxiety for an ongoing basis of multiple years, sometimes even multiple decades, right? And people who have been experiencing these types of symptoms all the way back from age 10 to 12 is usually where it typically starts. And they feel that it is consistently just a part of their life. And the biggest question that they have is, why has this continued for so long? And if I actually want to create a change, what do I need to do? And the first question that I typically respond with is I say, let me ask you, do you think that this is something that can actually be turned around? And they will say, well, to be honest, I guess I don't really think so. And I say to them, that's why you're not changing. Okay? And by the way, it's not the only part of the equation, don't get me wrong, because you need tools, you need strategy, you need a system, you need a proven process to get from point A to point B, absolutely. But the point being that if somebody has it in their head that their situation, that their anxiety and depression is a permanent part of who they are, if they do not believe that they can change, then no amount of new information, tools, or strategy is ever going to make a difference. And the challenge is this: many people are out there searching for information, tools, or strategies, and they believe that they're trying to change, but actually their deep-seated belief about their situation is that it will not change. And until you change that expectation, until you create a new standard for yourself, until you say, look, screw this. There are other people who have been in the same situation who have turned it around, and they were no smarter or different or differently able than I am, and they simply committed to mastering a few distinct principles and understandings about the mind that I don't yet understand, then I can absolutely do that. I can follow the same path. I can sow the same seed and reap the same reward if I follow down that direction. But first, it all starts with the decision to understand you can and you will change, to put yourself into a state of expectancy, because that now becomes the new filter, the new belief system through which all strategy, all information gets filtered. Where you say, I can and I will change, it's the absolute most fundamental thing that must take place. And so many people, unfortunately, are clinging to this idea that they can't change because of their genetics, because of their history, because of the physical or sexual abuse that they incurred, because of the discrimination that they went through. And to be honest with you, and to be fair and to be compassionate, I got to tell you, that's just bull. And people will cling to that story because it is safe and it's comfortable, and it recuses them from the responsibility of stepping up and making a change. And this whole idea that we've endorsed as a society of it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to be in pain, and I'm here for you, is unfortunately reinforcing and conditioning this mindset that we simply can endorse a life of continuous emotional pain, and we can settle for that. And I guess that is your choice if that's what you want. But I think deep down, most people really want an experience of emotional liberation, the ability to get out of depression, the ability to make sure anxiety is not a part of your daily life. And if you're clinging to this belief that things can't change and you're calling that being rational and practical, I want to challenge you and say, I think that's actually just a disguise for your fear of stepping up to the plate and figuring out what it takes to actually get things handled. So this is something that, I get a lot of grief for, but honestly, if you're angry about what I'm saying here, I think that you might want to reflect a little bit about how you've looked at things, because I know part of the reason people get upset about what I'm saying is they think, I've been struggling with this for 20 years. How could you say this, that I can just change like that? Well, firstly, I'm not saying you can just change like that. It takes hard work. It takes implementing the right steps, the right process, the right strategy. So don't misunderstand me on that. I'm also not saying depression and anxiety are not real. Of course they're real. Okay? I was suicidal for a number of years in my life. I dealt with that emotional pain myself. I deal with individuals every day, every week, and help them rehabilitate. So I'm very intimately familiar with how depression and anxiety creates dramatic situations in your life and creates a poor quality of life. So I'm not insensitive to that at all. But what I am making sure that I cut through and hopefully give you a little bit of cold water on the face to jolt you loose a little bit is to understand that until you adopt the idea that you can change, you won't. And that is something that our society has to grapple with. We need a consciousness change because the old paradigm is leaving people behind. The old paradigm the mental health industry has followed for the past 50 plus years that says, well, what you have is likely to be with you for the rest of your life, but let's help make it more comfortable for you, is just bullshit. So if you don't like what I have to say on that, that's fine. I respect that. But I think that you're going to find that if you're clinging to your anger or your sense of certainty that you can't change, then you're simply going to be disappointed 10 years from now in realizing that you're going to be in the same spot you're at right now. And until you actually get clear on your own capabilities, until you actually reflect on the fact that there are times in your life where you didn't know exactly what you had to do, but you knew you had to do something, and you knew you had to create a result or an outcome, and you got committed about it, and you got creative, and you persisted, and you got the help that you needed to make that happen, and all of a sudden you created a different result. I think you'll realize that the only thing that moves people in a seismic shift to a higher quality of life is first the absolute confidence that they can do it. And the people who want to cling to their comfortable certainty and sit on their armchair and say, no, it doesn't look like that, there's no way that that type of change can happen, are really simply fearful. So anyway, let's hear your thoughts below. I'm sure you have some. Talk to you soon.